Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Jameson with Two Tone Station, brand new YouTube channel. New to the scene. A little bit of background about me is I grew up, a Tennessee Titans fan. Well, backtrack, I grew up a Houston Oilers fan since I was wee little guy. Anyway, my dad is from Houston, so he naturally grew up a Houston Oilers fan. And I kind of grew up around that, so became a fan around 1996, I would say. Obviously, when the team moved over to Tennessee, my dad followed him over, so I followed with him. Maybe not a choice, um, at least maybe not a choice you would make uh, in your sane mind. Kind of a little bit of a shit show at times, I guess. But yeah, a little bit of a love-hate relationship. A lot of love. Um, outweighs the hate. But so, 1996, became a fan. Been following the team ever since. A little bit about the channel. Just decided to, create a channel where I react to all things Titans. I'm always on YouTube. I find myself watching, Titans videos all the time, even press conferences, highlight videos, rewatching games, game film, interviews, 104.5 The Zone, Rich Eisen Show, Good Morning Football, whatever it is. Even some other streamers, YouTubers. I react to their stuff as well, so I just thought I'd, watch it with you guys, give you my thoughts. If you enjoy what you see, please, consider liking the channel, subscribing, and yeah, if you're into it, welcome. If not, good luck moving on with your day and tighten up. So, without further ado, I think the first thing I saw that popped up today was the weekly press conference with the coordinators. So we got Dennard, Wilson, Nick Holz, and God, I can't never remember the special teams coordinator's name. Clayton? I don't really remember. I'm probably way off, but we're about to find out here in just a second. I should know that. God, it's gonna bother me now. Anyways, yeah. So we're gonna watch the press conferences with the coordinators. Sounds like we're gonna get some preseason action from the starters. Based on what we heard from Will Levis and Brian Callahan. Sounds like they're gonna play like 3 to 4 series, which is probably going to be performance based more than anything. Obviously, the better they perform, the less we'll see them probably. So if they go out there and have success, they'll probably be on the field quicker than if they face a little bit of adversity on the field. But that's what preseason's for, right? Not only is it an evaluation for younger players, but it's also to figure out what you have as a team when they do run into adversity on the field, and how you recover from some of that adversity. You're always going to have adversity, so it's how you respond. And for these players, even anyone who's played football or really any sport knows that you can face adversity individually within a single rep. So within any given play, me as a player, I can face adversity within my specific job. I get beat, right? I forget what my assignment is, whatever the case may be. All 11 people have a job out on that field, and all 11 people can face their own adversities or their own challenges within their specific role or job function. Football more than any, because you have to work cohesively. So I'm really pumped and excited to see what the preseason or the final preseason game holds. I'm really hoping the offensive line can kind of carry over some of their momentum from the last game. J.C. Latham, Pete, and Lloyd, they all played really well, and even MPF and Dylan Radins, they were maulers on that right side, surprisingly. I know that's been a huge question mark, and they held their own out there. Not to say that there isn't room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but I liked what I saw, at least that first preseason game. Obviously, this past week we didn't see any of the starters, but I like what I saw. It's hard to think that it could be any worse than last year, but Well, this time last year, I was saying it's hard to think it could be any worse than last year. And what the hell happened? It was worse than the than the year prior when we went through um, freaking revolving door of left tackles. Same shit last year. We bring in Andre Dillard. I don't think many people liked that move because there was a reason that he was not playing as a first round pick on the Eagles. There was a reason they were willing to move him for what they or release him. Not a good look, man. You paid him all that money and then you let him go. But anyway, that's all, water under the bridge. Hopefully, we found us a long-term solution in J.C. Latham, and then Pete looks like he's going to be a beast, and then you paid up for Lloyd. Yeah, man, you got the Cush push, hopefully, going in. So, yeah, without further ado, let's jump into this video with the coordinators, and let's see what they've got to say, and hopefully we'll kind of get a vibe for not only how he felt like the guys performed this past weekend, but also kind of what the plan is going forward for some of these dudes and where some of these guys maybe sit in the pecking order prior to this weekend's game. So with that said, let's roll.
All that you like, seems like he's been kind of making a push with the playing time that he's been getting.
Yeah, Jalen, he's a very smart player. Obviously, coming up, high school, he played the Mike
Talking
position.
about Jalen Harrell.
So for him, it's been easy to pick up the position, but he's a physical guy. He's tough. He's extremely smart. He can play both Sam and rush. And then, last week against Seattle, you seen him, he can win on the edge. And it was good to see him power rush early in the game to kind of set the tone. But he's a good young player. He's mature for his age, and he just continues to get better.
Pass rushers talk about a lot.
I'm telling y'all, Jalen Harrell is going to be a beast. I'm telling you. He's going to be an impact player this year, I guarantee it. But I'm telling y'all, he's going to be a beast. This kid is just barely getting his feet wet. He's already making an impact in the preseason. And say what you will about the preseason, but this kid, he's got some real talent. He's physical. He's a dog, as Dennard likes to call it. Disciplined asshole with grit. That is Jalen Harrell to a T. I'm excited about this kid.
Having different tools in the toolbox. How deep is his toolbox?
Right now, I just want him to have two in the toolbox right now, and that's for mostly all of them, especially the young guys. What do you do extremely well, okay? You hone on to that one and then have a second move. As you start to master those two, now we can pick up another one to put in that toolbox. But for me, I like seeing them go hit somebody in the face early on to kind of set the message and then try to win on the edge.
Dude, I'm telling you, Dennard could make anybody run through a brick wall. Telling you. And he's so smart. I'm so scared we're going to lose him after this year. He's too good of a coach. Maybe not this year, but he's going to be a head coach, I'm telling you. He's going to make a great head coach, too. But this guy, he's speaking facts, especially for these rookies. These rookies have so much to prove, and they know they have so much to prove. They come in here, either with a chip on their shoulder or feeling like the under. This is the first time a lot of these guys are the underdog. They've been the best at what they do for the longest time, and then they come in with all these pros, and they're really nobodies. You got to prove yourself all over again and earn your teammates' respect. And so a lot of these guys come in and they try and overcompensate, and it actually hinders their development. And so what he's speaking is straight facts, is that for Jalen Harrell and really any of these young guys, he said, I don't want you to come in trying to have 6 different moves, right? You don't need 6 different moves, 3 different moves, 4 different moves. I want you to master one move, okay? One move, I want you to master that. Once you have that move mastered, I want you to add another. I want you to have 2 moves in your tool bag that you can go to at any given time in a game. You're comfortable with those 2 moves, you excel with those 2 moves, and you can beat your opposing lineman, really, when it comes down to it, your opposing lineman, tight end, whoever it might be, with those 2 moves. Don't worry about a 3rd and a 4th or a 5th move. Master these 2. Once you have these 2 mastered, and I see that you have these mastered and you're making an impact, and you're comfortable with the system and your role within the system and your function, let's go ahead and start adding more. But right now, let's not overdo it. Let's get good at with what we know we're good at, master those things, and then move forward. I like it. I'm telling you, Dennard is such a good coach. This defense, man, it makes me excited. Those guys fly around. Those boys fly around now. It makes me excited, man. And we hear all this. I'm not even going to get into it with the offense versus the defense in practice. Excuse me, guys. I'm not even going to get into it. Let's keep going.
Edge rusher going past the quarterback. That used to be a big issue here.
Yeah.
But they didn't want that to ever happen. Are you willing to accept that a little bit in exchange for a guy?
No, you never want to create voids in the defense by guys going 10+ yards to win on the edge. You know, you always want to get the quarterback level. Sometimes you might get pushed a little bit further, but you got to counter and come back. But no, we want to collapse the pocket. We want the pocket to shrink. We want to dominate in the A and B gaps, so when the quarterback does step up, there's nowhere for him to go. You know, we're not going to treat it as a cage rush. Sometimes guys can win on the edge, but if you're ever too high or too wide, it's not good for the defense.
Aside from, I guess, Jalen and Harry.
I'm sorry, I love it when Dennard talks, but think about what you just said. You have a cage rush, right? You're creating a cage around the quarterback. You're trying to get to him from the edges, essentially, right? Outside in, we'll call it. What he just talked about with A and B gaps, he's talking about right dead in the middle, okay? You have gap, A and B gaps, right? You have T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons to plug the A and B gap. That is 700 pounds of man coming in your face, no diddy, in a hurry, right? So think about this. So when you're a quarterback, think about what you do when you have pressure. You feel pressure off the edges, right? Your first move is to step up in the pocket. You're not going to boot and roll out or anything like that. Your first move for most quarterbacks, most non-Patrick Mahomes-like quarterbacks, is to step up in the pocket. Okay, but if you step up and you've got 700 pounds worth of behemoths that want to eat you coming down hill towards you, I mean, what are you going to do, right? And then you add on the secondary. You got L'Jarius, you got Cheeto, you got Roger coming back. You add Quandre, you add Jamal Adams, you got Elijah Molden, you got Amani Hooker. I'm so tired of seeing all these videos where they go through all these people we added, but somehow, I don't know, there's question marks on the secondary about the secondary. Like, what are you talking about? If the secondary cannot be burnt toast like it was last season, and just give Jeff and Harold and Arden and Weave and, you know, Jalen Harrell, any of these guys, Kenneth Murray, if you can give these guys coming off of safety blitzes, you got Jamal Adams. I mean, we got so many possibilities, right? Because Dennard is going to be an attacking defense. We don't know how he's going to attack. That's the beauty of it. They're going to be multiple. But if the secondary can give them a tick longer, they're going to get home. I'm telling you, I'm so excited because we have T-Sweat and Big Jeff pushing that pocket. We've heard from practice and from all the media around practice and even seeing in the preseason just from T'Vondre, he's commanding a lot of double teams already. You can't double team Big Jeff and T'Vondre Sweat. You got to pick your poison. The way that they're describing that the pocket has been getting this push from the defense makes me so freaking excited. I can't even tell you because not everybody is mobile. Not all quarterbacks are mobile. They can't just scramble around the yard, get out of danger like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and some of these crazy-ass magician quarterbacks can. Caleb Williams might be one of those guys. We don't know. We'll see week 1. But I think Big Jeff is going to eat, personally. Hopefully I don't eat my own words, but this defense, man, it makes me excited. All right, we're only a minute and 47 minutes in. Sorry, guys. Let's roll.
Dennard, and who else maybe in that edge rush group is getting your attention on a regular basis?
Weave has done a good job, when he's out there. Obviously, we have the starters, and then Caleb's done an excellent job when he has the ability to go out there and rush. Right now, we're working
Murphy,
through, the rush
Caleb
package,
Farley.
who's going to be out on the field.
Hurt again.
We also have some DBs that can come down and rush off the edge, like Jamal Adams. So we're working through all that, but guys are flash. They're all trying to take the coaching. They're competing. They're trying to win their one-on-ones, and that's a big thing going into this game. I want to see the guys convert and win one-on-ones this week at a higher rate.
It's going to be a
Otis
big-time
Reese
performance
and Chance
game.
Campbell. How do you like
Guys
the way
fighting for
they've
jobs.
come along and kind of acquitted themselves, to be able to be in competition?
Yeah, when we first got here, the big question mark was about the linebackers. I think all the linebackers have gotten better. I think Frank Bush does a great job of developing players, and you can see him. I mean, from Kenneth Murray to Giddy,
Everybody
to
has
Otis,
had glowing
to
reviews
Chance,
about Frank
all the guys
Bush.
are getting
Like,
better and
nothing but
better. And
glowing
every time they
reviews
go
about
out there and they have an opportunity to compete, they're making the best of their opportunity. And I love where they're at right now.
It's disappointing that you haven't been able to see much of Cedric Gray over the last few weeks.
I wouldn't say it's disappointing. Obviously, he got hurt, and the injury is out of his control or anybody else's. But you do want to see him in live action. You want to see him do what he does best and play physical football. Right now, we haven't had him out on the field to see that. And I don't know when we'll get him back. That's up to Callie and the training staff when he comes back.
Those inside linebackers have talked.
And that's the thing. I had so much hope. I still have so much hope for Cedric Gray. I haven't lost hope for Cedric Gray by any means. But, I mean, his development's been delayed for sure. I thought for certain come week one he was going to be one of those impact players. But, everybody knows the pre-draft process is pretty brutal on these guys, and they're constantly training and working out. And then they go through like a dead period where they're traveling so much and eating shitty, and they're just not working out any. And then they go through this whole off-season program, as an NFL player for the first time. They put their body through a lot. That sucks, though. Cedric Gray, I mean, he's still going to be an impact player. I really do believe that. I just think some of these other guys like Otis Reese and Chance Campbell and Gibby and some of these other dudes have had their chance to shine. They've gotten their opportunity, and I feel like they've taken advantage of it. Both of them, Chance and Otis, have been balling, baby.
Talked about it being two distinct positions, but it doesn't seem like it's strictly weak and strong. What's the distinction?
No, I mean, you have a Mike linebacker and you have what we consider the dime backer when we get into nickel. And the dime backer is kind of interchangeable. The dime can also be another safety or a guy with versatility. But right now, I think that, all the guys are doing well enough to stay on the field, in terms of coverage, in terms of the landmarks, in terms of playing a little bit of man-to-man here and there. I think they all have done a good job. For me, it's the Mike and the dime or the Mike and the wheel linebacker. They're interchangeable.
You mentioned Weaver earlier. Are you seeing enough from him, or do you think there's more for first time?
Well, with any player, I think it's more in the tank. With him, it's just about the confidence and just believing in what he's doing on a daily basis. Because when he plays angry and he plays with confidence, he's a really good player. And, that's what we're trying to instill on him. Every day is that same, that same guy.
That's what they're always preaching. You can play without thinking. You're going to play
we all
fast
have our ways to do that.
James Williams seems to really be showing up. How much thinking is he doing? How much is he doing kind of what you guys are asking where you just go?
He's doing a hell of a job. From a guy that just moved from the safety position to go down to linebacker, you see him on film, he doesn't look out of place. He can blitz, he can come downhill. He's doing a better job of reading his keys. There's some things where his eyes are, can wander a little bit, but that's expected. He asks all the right questions. He meets with Frank Bush extra. I think James, he's going in the right direction, and I can't wait to see when he really puts it all together.
With all the secondary pieces that you have, with Quandre coming in late, with Jarius on a management plan, Cheeto been hurt a little bit, how do you ensure that when the time comes,
these guys are so bad at asking questions sometimes,
timing, the technique, and the communication will all be there?
The one thing about all those gentlemen that you just talked about, they're all professionals, and they've done it, at a high level. They do a lot of talking in meeting rooms. Obviously, when we go out there and do walkthroughs, all of them are out there on the field. We'll get them all on the field together before we line up and play the first game. But I like where they at. All of them are pros, and we'll be just fine.
What is it about Quandre that gave you that confidence and that comfort to move him up to the top of the chart so quickly?
Well, he's been one of the better free safeties in the National Football League for a while. He's a guy that could touch the ball. He plays with the mentality that we want to play with around here, and he's an extremely smart player. So him coming in here give us the versatility, gives us a true post safety with flexibility to go down in the box if we need him. But he's an exceptional player, and I'm excited to have him.
When you look at that tandem that he has with Jamal Adams, what is it that makes those guys able to play off each other so well and have the success that they've had before?
Well, I think both of them they're really tight. They're friends off the field and they believe in one another, and it's a little bit of a yin and yang. You got the iron fist in Jamal, and then Quandre, even though he's a pit bull,
he's the hammer,
he
baby.
Jamal's
Dropping
style.
the hammer.
And I think that sometimes you don't always want guys that's the same. They both have a different skill set, and I think they play to their skill sets extremely well.
Like Iron Man, Thor. Iron Man, Thor.
Any separation between those 4 or 5 guys?
I mean, it's a big game this week. It's a
Devondre,
big week this week.
Donkey
all right,
Kong.
it's about getting better
Hulk.
every day. All those guys have done extremely well. It's just about who's going to be the most consistent one. The young guys, obviously, it's the first and second time they've ever lined up in the National Football League, so they've made some mistakes on the field with eye discipline, technique, things of that nature. But as they keep playing, they'll get better, and we'll see who separates themselves come this week.
Go ahead, Nick. What do you evaluate in the game for that separation? Is it all eye discipline stuff, or are there other traits?
No, it's other things. How physical they are. What they're doing at the line of scrimmage in terms of press. Are they connected at the top of the route? Are they competing at a high level? Their willingness to throw their face in there and tackle and hit people. There's a lot of things that go to it. It's the communication. Do they have any lapses that hurts the defense because they thoroughly don't understand what they're doing? So it's those type things show up all the time.
You got some tough decisions coming up by the team next week. How much will you fight? I'm not going to ask you who you're going to fight for, but how much will you fight for guys, and how much are you involved in the process with Brian and with Rand and Chad to kind of make sure you?
Well, one thing about being around here, everybody's on the same page. So we are in constant communication about players. Personnel meetings about who's getting better, who's not doing as well, who can get better. So we'll all have the conversation, and ultimately it's up to Rand and Callie to make those decisions.
What would you like to see maybe from your starters that maybe you didn't see in the first preseason game?
Well, the biggest thing from the first preseason game, I want to see them start fast, right? The first time we had a lot of guys out there, and all the starters wasn't playing. We still haven't seen the full.
That ain't a lie. Of all the things you could criticize in that first preseason game, it would probably be the fact that the defense was just a gaping wide hole that entire first drive. And that was mostly the starting defense minus Cheeto, Jeff, and Legarius. I think that everybody else was out there. I'm trying to think if I missed anybody else, but I think Harold wasn't out there either. Harold won't play. Except for those 4 dudes, I mean, that was mostly the starting defense. And, I mean, those 4 dudes are obviously critical pieces of the defense. I mean, they're all, between Legarius and Jeff, you got 2 elite players, and then you've got 2 very, very good players that aren't on the field. And Harold, you could argue is right on the edge of being an elite player. He just needs to, really, really, I think, have that career year he's talking about. But definitely need to start faster on the defense for sure this game. If we could start with a 3 and out or an interception, hey.
11, right? But some of the younger guys, they were a little nervous. But those guys have had playing time. They've had the experience. Now I just want to see them come out there and play fast, play settled.
Forgot to mention my off-season crush, 100% Jarvis Brownlee Jr., baby, JBJ.
Football, all right, go out there and execute, and then, get to work where they're supposed to, and then get off the field.
How did Isaiah do Saturday night. It seemed like he was pretty active in there in the middle.
Yeah, he's getting better as well. He's another guy that doesn't know the.
And how about the damn rookie kicker? My ADHD is all over the place right now, but how about that rookie kicker, man? What is his name? Naverson? Something like that, bro. I don't even know his name, but Buddy drilled a 59-yard field goal and the game winner. Then the man didn't even know if he was going to play because he was sick. That's so wild to me. Anyway, squirrel moment.
The NFL game right now, but he's strong, he's physical, he's willing to learn, he plays with great effort, and you saw it. You know, they balanced the rush. He was 1-on-1, got a sack. He's getting better. He's a guy that we like working with.
And Shadobe guys, you feel confident you can just plug them in, practice week one, and they'll be ready to go?
I have no doubt in my mind that they'll be ready to play come week one in Chicago.
Yep, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, Meta,
Alright, guys.
take a photo.
No free shout-outs, but you're going to have to deal with it. Oh, now, hey, do you agree the previous ad is relevant to you? I'm going to say that I'm not going to participate. Thought I was.
Hoping and needing to see from your first team guys, Will and the other guys in the last preseason game.
I think we just want to be efficient, right? I think first time on the road, historically very loud building. I know it won't be kind of, regular season levels, but
Nick Holz
we need
so
to handle
awkward to
ourselves
me. He
kind of
reminds me
appropriately
like
on the
total
road, kind of take
nerd.
this
Maybe I'm
operation
wrong.
and kind of move
And
it
I'm not
along
judging
and kind of
both
feel
guys, 'cause yes,
like
I
we're
am.
in
But
a mid-season form. This is
he's a
really
very
our last
awkward
chance
guy.
for a real dress rehearsal before we go to play the Bears on the road. So I think handling all those kind of distractions and getting that process for us would be kind of nice. And then obviously, have success too and go out there. They had the two drives against San Francisco. We really kind of got stopped on the first drive in the red zone with that short field, and then the second drive we punched it in. So we're kind of looking for real efficiency.
What's your job like, I guess, right now, where you got prepping for Saints? You got some guys that are not going to be on the team this time next week, and then you got a regular season opener coming up too. How you balance all of that?
So it's actually been kind of fun from that standpoint of really today, for the first time, we're going to start introducing like our game week process to the guys. So we're going to go through some of the installs, some of the presentations. On offense, each position coach and a lot of the position assistants have different areas. So they're going to show, hey, when we go play the Bears and for the rest of the season, whatever, but this Saints, here's what their personnel looks like. Hey, here's what we're expecting them to play here, and kind of give them, our players, the first real in-season, this is how we're going to give you the information. So that's one thing. And then, so that's really the afternoons right now. And then in the mornings, we're really prepping for still training camp style evaluation practices. So we're doing that as just kind of a mental exercise, but then in the mornings, like we just really prep for practice, and then practices against the Titans, we're just really still in the evaluation stage from the football on the field stuff.
Not off the game, obviously, but how do you feel about the progress of the starting offensive line in both pass protection and run block?
I think you watched last week against Seattle, they really got two games in on whatever that was, Wednesday and Thursday, and I thought the run game, we really started out really well, especially on Thursday. Those first 8-10 plays, we had some pretty big gashes, some good runs. And then, they kind of got going and got us a little bit. And it was kind of like the flow of a regular season game where you're not just going to kind of go and impose your will on somebody. So from an evaluation standpoint, we really feel like those guys are starting to gel. It's really been the same three, center, left guard, left tackle for the whole time. And now really Nick and Dylan, have kind of moved up a little bit, or I would say they've started to separate. Certainly the evaluation's not over, but I think we can kind of picture it as a group of how it's going to flow in the regular season.
As you move forward into that game,
he said it, Callie has said it, Dylan Radin's an MPF, are your starting right guard and your starting right tackle. Whether you like that or not, that's going to be our starting five is going to be JC, Pete, Lloyd, Dylan, and MPF. And I think that's going to be a solid line, actually. I don't think Radens gets the credit he deserves. I think he's underrated. I don't think he's been given a fair shot. He's been moved all over the line. He's never had any type of continuity at his position. So this is his first time training at a single position and, actually taking hold and taking the reins of an opportunity. So hopefully he makes the most of that. And then MPF, I don't think I've ever had an issue with MPF. I think MPF has had some consistency issues. And then obviously the suspension kind of derailed last year, and it was tough for him to get, into a groove before getting hurt. So I think he's got a lot of potential as a right tackle. I think his offensive line could be really good if they just start to gel. It's going to take some time for them to come together, I think, and actually, gain that chemistry that they need. But I do think that this line has a lot of potential to be good. And again, like you just said and like Callie said, they've basically all but confirmed what that right side of the offensive line is going to look like, barring any injuries.
Standard order operations. How is that going to evolve with Will? Whereas you guys sit down and he says, I like these concepts, I don't like these. And you say, hey, these apply to.
Yeah.
You know what?
So we've really already started that with him. He kind of, in the middle of training camp, we kind of said, all right, tell us the things you're the most comfortable with. Okay, I feel against every coverage, I know where to go with the ball on. Play A, B, C, D. These ones I don't feel as good about. And then, then for that conversation has already started. Okay, why don't you feel good about it? Okay, it's man. I don't love this answer versus man. So we've kind of gone through that list already. And then he came in yesterday, and we were kind of just sitting around, and he had already started his own thoughts on the Saints. So Brian and I were sitting there, and Bo and the rest of the crew, and then he comes in and gave us his list, and we kind of. The good thing about it is he saw a lot of the same things. We're already seeing it similar. So he's like, I like these 4 plays, and they're like, oh, we got those 4 already. These are in. So it's started, and then it'll just kind of keep growing from there.
We've made so much about the Will and Calvin connection. Just from your perspective, what are some of the technical things they need to hone to kind of refine that thing?
There's a little bit of not bad luck, but there was a couple ones where, like against Seattle, we ended up he was kind of running this like bench takeoff thing, and it's going to be wide open, and he kind of gets grabbed, so he kind of stops running, and then it's like, so there's a little bit of that of, we would have it, but there's no really replacement for actually completing that ball. It's not like we can all keep sitting here and say it'll happen. So I think it's going to come with reps. I think there's some days they've had really good days, and there's times where they've both been at fault. Each guy said, he's got to do it better. And it just kind of comes with time, and we're really not concerned about it from a production standpoint.
Go ahead. You got to follow up. Go ahead.
Is there any indication on why the good days are good and the bad days are bad?
No, I think part of it is our defense does a really good job of playing kind of like some unscouted looks, and so we keep thinking, Dennard's going to do this, and we've got these couple coverages up, and all right, if they play these 3 main coverages he plays, and then twice he's throwing some pretty good wrinkles at us, and all of a sudden the adjustment changes, which is really good for us for regular season practice, but I think we'd also love to hit a couple of those and feel like, what we're saying is going to happen. So it's a balancing act, but we're not stressed about it, I would say.
Brian said that Tajay and Tony are 2 of the best backs he's ever had.
That connection comes to life, though.
How can you use
been very up and down,
sounds
like mostly down.
Those guys have in pass protection, maybe that other running backs don't?
They play. You hear Randy Jordan talk about, you see with stripe on the helmet, eye violations. So if you're have an eye violation as a running back, your blitz pickup is here, so we see here to here. Your eye, shouldn't go here to here and see the stripe going kind of back and forth. And you watch those two, and they have very clean eyes. So they go here to here, and they kind of know how to pull the trigger. So from a quarterback standpoint and from a offensive coaching standpoint, you sit there and you're like, okay, they're dialed in on this is exactly where they're supposed to be. They understand that, hey, we're pointing this guy, so that means they've got one of these 2 guys, or however we do it on that certain protection. And there's a confidence in there to be able to drop back and not have to check a bunch of protections, or he's really going to say with the quarterback, all right, I know I'm going there. I got the rest of it for you. And if they both come, the quarterback knows he's hot, but there's a comfort level of I'm not going to have any free runners. So it's been nice from that standpoint.
Where's things with, I guess, May?
Which is pretty crazy because Callie the other day in his press conference said that Tajay and Tony are probably the two best pass protecting running backs he's ever coached. Which kind of surprised me a little bit because stature-wise, you wouldn't really think that because they're both kind of smaller dudes, Tajay especially. But I mean, they're both kind of more compact guys that are shifty and good out of the backfield. So you wouldn't necessarily peg them as great pass protectors just looking at them from afar. But that's pretty sweet because that was one thing that over the past several years made us, super predictable is that, love Derrick Henry to death, but he wasn't a pass protector. He never has been. He never really developed that skill set. Definitely improved in that area from where he started, but he never really, excelled, I would say, at pass protection. And so on obvious passing downs, that means Henry typically needs to come off the field so that a running back who is a threat out of the backfield to catch the ball, and then B, an additional pass protector for any passing situations. And it removes your your best weapon off the field on offense, and it gives you that unfortunate level of predictability. Now, where I think Baltimore, where I think that they kind of will succeed with Henry is that they will be unpredictable in a different way. They're going to be unpredictable from a running game standpoint, where you have Lamar who can take it, or you have Henry who can take it. So there's going to be a lot of these option plays, I think, in Baltimore where they do still have that level of unpredictability because you don't know if Lamar's going to run it, you don't know if Derrick's going to run it, and then you don't know if Lamar's going to pass it. Hell, you don't know if Derrick's going to pass it, right? He's the young Peyton Manning, he says. So, that was something that made us really kind of predictable in the past, and so it's really cool to see or hear. Not only are these running backs very similar from a skill set standpoint, which keeps the defense on their toes all the time because it doesn't matter who's in the game, they can do the exact same things, run the exact same plays without missing a beat. Add on the fact that they're two of the best pass protecting running backs that, Brian Callahan's ever worked with, which I think is pretty cool, and it says a lot about these guys. That's really neat. I think that's going to, pay dividends for us.
Jason and Malik in your mind as far as how they've handled camp and preseason games?
We're really happy with both of them. Malik got a chance to start the other night, and, I was telling these guys the other day, sometimes it's like, Malik just kind of gets some bad breaks out there. The first false start was his fault. He kind of went up there and had his cadence got off, and now it was going to be 3rd and 6, 3rd and 11, then we're off the field. And then the next one, left tackle jumps, he gets 2 drives in the first quarter, and we're in 3rd and manageable, and they, jump offside. So that's like, for him, I think I know some of the amazing.
See, I don't like that personally. And again, I have nothing against Malik, but I have 100% seen plenty of Malik. I don't think he should be on the team, quite frankly. I'm happy to keep him as a QB3, but aside from an emergency quarterback, I do not think Malik should be on the team. I've seen enough of Malik. Even on this past Saturday, I saw enough of Malik. What he's talking about now, in my opinion, is excuses. I mean, he literally just said the first false start was his fault. It's operational issues. And then the left tackle jumps, which I understand may be out of his controls, but we're still talking about operational issues. Insert Mason Rudolph, all of a sudden the offense is able to move down the field. Wasn't until later, right, that Malik was able to kind of come to life a little bit. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the business of making excuses for dudes, and I think I've seen enough of Malik Willis personally to kind of be out on him. But let me know what you guys think about him.
had has had more scoring drives and those kind of things, but Malik has done just, he had a couple really big throws. He had the big throw to Sam on the right side, another one to Bryce on the right side. So
threat of him running is really
had their
the
moments
only
of doing things really, really well.
tool
Mason had
that
one
he
where
brings
he
that's
kind
above
of
the rest.
ended up buying some time in the pocket and throwing to his left and getting the completion. So they both played at a high level, and we're happy with both of it. But I think they both would say they have things to improve as well. So I don't think either one was a finished product.
How's the growth curve for David Martin Robinson?
Hey, man, I'll say this: he has been like the surprise of, not the surprise of camp, but the way he's kind of taken it and run with it. I think there's some guys when the pads come on, they shrink, and there's some guys when the pads come on and they kind of rise up, and all of a sudden he felt like a really natural football player. And I think when you're in here in OTAs and you're doing all this different stuff and you really can't hit anybody, and you're just trying to worry about the techniques, and he kind of took all those techniques in the spring. He came back, put the pads on, and he came alive. So we're really happy with who he is. He shows up. What you're seeing on the preseason games, what you guys see out here in practice, kind of shows up every day. So for a rookie to play with a consistency and at a high level and a undrafted one, that is pretty impressive, and we're really excited.
What would you say are some early indications that Will Levis could be that guy for you?
I think the way he carries himself, the way he handles adversity. I think when things don't go well for him in practice, you can feel that he wants it, but he has the ability to, just like we were talking about with some missed deep balls, or, hey, there's a protection error or something like that. He can handle it. He can bounce back, and then the next play is a big one. You know what I mean? I know he threw he was so, mad at himself. He threw the pick at the 2-minute against Seattle, and he's kind of sitting there, and, but it's not crippling for him to have a mistake like that. So I think for those to have that mental mindset and the ability to bounce back and all those other things. We know the physical tools, and there's a million guys with physical tools, but for him, the mental of that, and he also gives really good information with what he sees. So when he comes back from hey, what'd you see there? Oh, I saw the safety coming down, so I went over here, and it's always what happens. I think there's a lot of other guys that, I found the safety, and it's like, dude, that guy's 20 yards deep. What are you talking about? So those, to me, are the indications, as it gets harder and against better defenses and in the regular season, we'll expect that growth to continue.
Of what he just said, every player, in my opinion, at the quarterback position has to have that short-term memory capability where they just kind of, you have a bad play, bad rep, you just kind of digest it real quick, you analyze it real quick, and then you purge it, you move on. But what he just said that really piques my interest is his ability to translate what he's seeing on the field so that then those can be coaching points and or discussion points as to why he maybe made a certain throw or how he's seeing the field during a certain play. So I think the ability to translate what he's seeing during a given play and explain himself, articulate what he's seeing is a big deal, and that is something that can separate him. I don't think necessarily having a short-term memory can say that, Will Levis is the guy because he's got short-term memory. But I do think, that being able to articulate what you're seeing on the field is a big deal, and then that can definitely improve your chances to be the guy, but, still a lot to prove for Will Levis. I think we're all hopefully, confident in what we've been seeing from him. I think we're all hyped, and that parfum de mayonnaise, man, as long as he spritz on a couple sprays of that before each game, he's going to be a baller.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
And that's it. All right, Dick's Sporting Goods, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So I'm actually not going to get to the special teams coordinator. I got to run. That took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I think we're about at the 45-minute mark. Make sure you check out what that special teams coordinator's got to say. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. Again, if you liked what you heard or you have any comments of your own, your thoughts are much appreciated. Go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section, and If you'd like to stay tuned, like and subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you next time. As always, tighten up. Enjoy your day, guys.